I want to move on to housing, and maybe the minister can help me here a little bit. I want to ask questions about the the federal provincial agreement on housing that was signed with Ottawa under the 2017 National Housing Strategy. And it lays out a schedule of investments to be made by the province and the feds. So in the second year on that schedule, to increase the number of social housing units available by 61 at a cost of $2.6 million in the second year. Is this budget before us that we're discussing today, does that reflect the second year, or are we now in the third year? Minister, could you clarify that, please?
Again, thank you for your patience, and Mr. Chair, through you to the member opposite, and just trying to make sure. I mean, it was year 3. Yes, that's where we are, and again, just trying to sort out exactly the number of units and exactly the target was 152, 151. By the end of the year, depending on how construction goes, we may exceed that number. But it does depend on a number of things. So I think it's safe to say that we're on track, and I think that was the question. I can reiterate if I was off on some of those responses.
Okay, so that clears it up. So in the agreement, in its first year, there was to be 10 units of additional social housing added, so expand the supply of housing by 10. Second year by 61 at a cost of $2.6 million, and then in this year to add 80 more units for a cost of $3.8 million to total to 151. So then can the minister confirm that $3.8 million is in this budget to increase the supply of housing by 80 units, or perhaps there's more, and if so, I would love to hear about that.
Thanks very much. And, you know, when I first took this portfolio over, I said every file is an important file. And you know, I mean, again, we went through child protection right up to seniors in care. But the housing is one that I really get excited about, because I guess it's so visual and it's so immediate that if someone doesn't have a roof over their head, it's very difficult to hold down a job. It's very difficult to meet some of those needs, and basic, safe, and sustainable housing is in the hierarchy of needs. Is the platform, is the base that we start with. So so to answer your question about the 3.8, yes, and you were asking about, you'd be interested to hear if we go over the 152, and you're well aware of some of those projects that we've talked about. And earlier in the day, I talked about the fun we had with the City of Moncton Council, and they had an individual, Danny Hicks, who had a board and had gone to them with a proposal to build additional housing within the Greater Moncton area, and they kind of well, if you go in, we'll go in, or the City of Moncton basically put the gun to our head and said, we'll put our money in if you, the province, put your money in. So we were backed up against deadlines, because they were sort of saying their budget year is the end of Christmas, and you've got about a couple of weeks to decide, because we didn't know if Moncton was going to go forward or not. And I know I'm giving you too much detail, but I'm so excited about the project. So we put our money in, City of Moncton put their money in, and then the feds came along a little bit later. So we put in 6 and they put in 6. And when I talk about we may exceed that target, some will be included in the 152. And again, as things go forward, we may exceed that depending on the success of some of these projects, which look really, really positive. And then I know the member and I had a number of discussions about the City Motel project, which was another one that was kind of a lot of moving parts. And again, it was one of those discussions that the City of Fredericton was saying, well, it's really not our lane, and we should be just letting the province take care of it. So initially they said, no, we're not going to get involved, and then about 4 days later they had another meeting and rethought it, probably after some public pressure of them saying that they needed to be involved in this. So that's another great project, and I'm excited about that too. So I know, remember, I probably went on a little bit too much, but those are some of the exciting things that were involved in finalizing that 3-year, and again, depending on construction and how things move forward, possibly going over that original target, which again is good for the population that need it, because that population or that demand continues to grow.
Thanks for that response, and it's consistent with what the deputy had said at Public Accounts, which was the intention was to go above the number, which was a very encouraging thing to hear, although at Public Accounts I did give him a hard time on something else. But we'll get to that later, I guess. So I want to thank the minister for his personal interest and support for these projects he's mentioning. I'm most familiar, of course, with the City Motel project in Fredericton. It's actually just outside of my riding, but it's going to change lives in my riding and outside my riding. Literally change lives. So as a politician, you can't ask for much better than that. In talking to John Howard and the others involved in this project, they've told me how supportive the department's been. So thank you.